You know, sometimes I feel like such a negative Nelly. Well, hey guys, it is Saturday and I expected to be back on here showing you not a perfect setup, but a presentable setup. I can't make up my mind. And it's funny because you guys are helping me make up my mind, and you'll mention something in the comments that I didn't think of, and it's like, oh no. So then I kind of go back to the drawing board. So I just wanted to come on today and show you my second attempt at trying to figure out how I'm going to display my items. And just because I got on here and started talking, the cats decided to fight. Behave. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, so I can't remember. It was either Wednesday or Thursday. All my days blend together. I pulled the tables back out, injured my thumb on that Walmart table. It's like real sore to touch. And we're going to hear the cats fighting. I apologize. They didn't want anything to do with each other until the camera came on. So I pulled out the tables, injured my thumb on that Walmart table, and set it up. And this time, instead of an L shape, I thought, well, what if I did it like a T? So that's how I started with the T. And then the cube shelving, I figured I would try and set it up the way that I saw a couple of Instagram posts where they used the zip ties and didn't have the dividers in between each of the shelves. We're going to take a quick look at that and see what I had to say with my thought process at the time. Okay, so it's set up to where this is a long shelf. There's no divider in between. I have probably done overkill on the zip ties. Now I haven't trimmed the little pieces off yet. And if I decide to do it like this, I'm going to have to buy another pack of zip ties because I have used a ton of them. Only because, you know, it's the first time and I have to figure out how it goes together. Like I could take 3 panels here and zip tie them together with 2 zip ties and have the back, the shelf, and the back. Instead of, I've got like 4 connectors everywhere. So this is where I'm at so far. I can, up here, add another shelf and make it where I have 4 shelves. I still have enough pieces for that. And give it a backing so that nothing falls off the back. I still did not put a bottom on it because, again, what is the point? Assembling this, I think I'm going to put that top shelf on it. So I got the 3 shelves set up, and it leaves the back so that you can have, like, lean your plushies up against it, ones that wouldn't exactly stand on their own because they might be a little top heavy, or, you know, they're not, all of them are not made to stand up on their own. It's just not possible for it. Then I decided to add the 4th shelf and make it taller. Once I added the 4th shelf and stood it back up, it was time to cut off all the pieces of the zip ties that were hanging off, flapping in the wind. And of course, Toby decided to help. But with cutting those off, if you don't cut it close enough, like that could be dangerous. Somebody could, especially if you have like real thin skin like I do on my hands, somebody could cut themselves on those. So that was a big turnoff for me. Then I brought in the totes and I said, okay, let's start setting this up and see what we can come up with. And I had several people suggest that, and which was my original plan, but it just wasn't working out like that last time. So I tried to set it up to where like all sea creatures were together and then farm animals were together, you know, that way. I decided the T wasn't going to work, so I pushed the table back over and made it an L shape again. Okay, so I have decided I don't like these like this, the cubes. I think I'm gonna scrap the cube idea. It's just not doing it for me. So I do like how this looks. This here, it just looks nice and neat and organized. So I went on Amazon and ordered a couple of a cheaper version because these would have been like $30 to $60 a piece, something like that. And I ordered ones that were like $20 and some change. This looks okay if you're right on top of it, but from a distance, it's not doing it for me. And I did have the little table here in the middle to where it would be like a T, but that didn't do it for me either. So the little table is back over here for like an L shape. And then to try and keep like items together so that like, you know, all my birds are with my birds and my sea creatures, water animals are with them. And I don't know. I like the look of this way better than the look of this. It just looks neater, more organized. So I'm gonna pause playing with this until I think it said Saturday. I will get the other racks and then I'll pull it all back out again. But while I have it out, I'm gonna go ahead and start putting the price tags and stuff on them. So I got part of the way through. I had the 4 shelves, the cube shelves pretty much set up. I had the one that's a shoe rack set up, and then I scrapped it. And I think what my problem was with the cube shelf, there's too much dead air space or negative space, for lack of a better word. Like, I think it'd be fine if they were all like taller, could go from the bottom shelf to the upper shelf and fill in all that space, but they're not. I concentrated on smaller items and things where I could have several lower priced items because, face it, I don't live in a rich area. So I was trying to do things that would be affordable for people and where, you know, I'm gonna make my money back for my materials and get a little bit for my time. You know, I don't expect to get rich off of this. So I stopped and I decided, okay, well, I have everything out again. Let me go ahead and start pricing. Sitting there and I'm attaching the price sticker and the safety eye warning labels and pinning them on and marking it off my list as I go. And I get about 3/4 of the way through and I decide I don't like how this looks for 2 reasons. I could just see these things just flapping all over the place. But the main reason was I was afraid. Not afraid, that's the wrong word. I was worried that the tag, because the string is so long, would like work its way in between the shelves and get caught. And then somebody would go to pick something up and it would rip. So I had 2 things in this trial setup that concerned me. It was the cut pieces of the zip ties, somebody getting injured on that, and then these tags that the string is just so long. So I scrapped that and went back to the drawing board. So I took the warning label, the safety eye warning label that I purchased off of Etsy, and on the back side, I printed it out. Then I flipped it over so I can print on the other side. I decided I can add my logo and the price like that and have one tag and just attach it with the pins that I bought. Like this. So the price tag would be there. The warning is on the back. It's got the little pin holding it on. And I can put them up high enough to where hopefully it won't get snagged in the shelving. Also too, I was thinking I have like some butcher paper, it's white, that I can take with me and line the top of the shelf with maybe, and that might help prevent that. So when I had everything set up, I decided that what I did like about it, believe it or not, there was something I liked about it, was the shoe rack. Now that particular rack I got for free. And you can't ask for a better price, right? So I tried searching to see, can I get more of these? Because it seems like I used to have 2 of those. And, you know, back when we lived in St. Pete in the big house and all the kids were home, and rather than having shoes laying all over the place, we had the shoe rack by the front door. And then we had one somewhere else. But I'm pretty sure we had 2. And I know that we bought them at Walmart. So we looked at Walmart and locally didn't have them. So I looked online and I was able to come up with the actual name of the rack. So like I could get them all the same. But they were like $32 and some change a piece plus shipping. And I was like, no, I don't want to pay that much. because I would need, you know, 2 to 3 more of them. But what I like about them is it's more closed in. Like when you set when the plushie is on it, you only have like maybe an inch or so of space instead of it being this much space in between. And it just looked neater and more organized. That's what the dead air space or negative space is what really bothered me about the cube shelving. But like I said, when I bought those, if I decided I couldn't use them, it wouldn't be a big loss because you never have enough yarn storage, right? It just gives me more shelving to put my yarn on. So I Googled the shoe rack, found out the name, and did a search for it. And even Amazon, which is not always the cheapest, but for people like me in these rural areas where you don't have the choice of shopping, Amazon is great because they carry freaking everything. And I order a lot on Amazon. Too much. The post office probably can't stand me. Walmart, you could purchase them online. Amazon, you could purchase them online. There were a few other places, but they were all, you know, $30 and up. So when I was looking on Amazon, of course, you know, they'll suggest similar products. They suggested one that was like 2 inches shorter, but you're going from the bottom up to the very top, which is not where the shelf is. There's like this loop for, say, a handle, like if you wanted to pick it up and move it. And this other one just didn't have as big of a loop. It was like a 1/2 inch less wide and 2 inches shorter, but that goes to that handle. And it was $20. Now, granted, it was on sale, but it was $20. So I ordered 3, and this is the part that messed me up here. I ordered 3 of them, and when I put them in my cart and made the purchase, it said I would have them on Saturday. And today is Saturday, so I checked to see if they're out for delivery, and now it says arriving Wednesday. So Amazon's been doing that a lot lately. It says one thing until after you pay for it, then it says another for the shipping. And I know it gives you like different options for the shipping, and I always, of course, take the fastest freeway so that I get my stuff on time because, you know, online shopping is nothing like shopping in person where it's instant gratification. Now I have to wait till Wednesday. So either Wednesday or Thursday, I get to try it again one more time. But that Walmart table, I did not completely fold up. I just collapsed the legs in, left it laying out flat like this instead of folding it so that I don't hurt myself again trying to set it up. And the other table that I borrowed that's like super heavy, it's just like folded up and tucked over in a corner. And my living room's a disaster, which it already was because I have to cover all my furniture with blankets because of Toby. And now I've got my totes out there. I have my tables out there. The whole house is in disarray. But on a more positive note, I did get to do a tiny little bit of crocheting. And, you know, it's so funny because I think we all shop from the same pattern designers because it's amazing. Like, you see something on somebody's channel and you're like, oh, that's really cool. I like that pattern. I want to get it. But when you've already gotten the pattern and you just haven't gotten to it yet, and then you see someone else put it up for the first time, it's hilarious. It's like, how did they know? So the first thing that I did is back when I first started buying the plushie patterns, I had bought 3 different patterns from Mom's Stitchetti. And I bought a Triceratops, an elephant, and a cow. I did the Triceratops, and that was one of my first ones that I did. And I was following the directions like to the T, down right down to the hook size and all that. Only because the pattern says to use like an 8mm hook, but the yarn says use like a 10mm hook type of thing. So I thought going down the 2 sizes was enough. Not for me, it wasn't. So my Triceratops, it has holes, you know, because the hook was too big. So I learned from that one. My elephant turned out fine because I dropped down the hook sizes, and then I did the cow for the first time. As far as making cows in the Bernat, I don't have the greatest of colors for that. I do have a few that would work, but I've been using those on the chickens. So I tried to do the traditional black and white cow, and I think he turned out okay. Now, I didn't have the exact same eyes, which shouldn't have mattered because I didn't use the bigger hook, and obviously mine is not as big as hers is because like I used Bernat Baby. It's easier for my hands to work with. And I used a 6.5mm hook instead of regular Bernat and an 8mm hook. So I did black and white, and the eyes, I think in the pattern it said a 22 or 23mm eye. I had 18. I had 28. Well, I went with the 28mm. And I don't know, it doesn't really look like a cow to me. So I added the little nostril things there, which was not in the pattern. But I don't know, it just kind of doesn't really look like a cow. It's cute, but does it look like a cow to you? I don't know. So I wanted to do this, make one, like a couple of strawberry cows too. But I don't have the colors. And if I do it in Parfait Chunky, the white's horrible. We all know that. Everybody's been complaining about it. But even if I tried to do like the strawberry cow and use the pink, which my one pink color is not quite up to par. It's not as bad as the white, but it's not what we've all grown to know and love. So I have like a pink and a red and that, but it would be like this big instead of this big, because I have a lot of small items. I wanted to make a few bigger items where, you know, I could have a 25 or higher price tag on it. So I did the cow, black and white, you know, maybe he needs a couple of spots or something on him. And I pulled out, again, back when I first started buying the patterns, Shield Maiden on Etsy. She had her, at one time, she had her patterns all for $1, and I bought several of them. And then she went to $2, and then I think she's at $1.25 now. And she does have a couple more I would like to get, but I just haven't, like, taken the plunge. But she had one for a bee. And you know what? Let me get the original bee I made. Okay, so she had this bee pattern, and it was different from everybody else's bees that they're showing in their market prep videos. You know, everybody shows the super easy bee that's kind of pill-shaped and has wings, and there's not a whole lot to them, you know, and I don't see the attraction to them. They're cute, but I personally would not buy one. And it's not because I can make it myself, I just don't care for them. So I pulled out this bee pattern. Now this one was the very first one that I made, and I used her color scheme using the gray and like the goldenrod. And it's like, it's okay. You know, because I was still learning at the time. I didn't necessarily care for the wings, but it's different from what everybody else was doing. And it's not that hard to make them. It's just, you know, I don't know. But I liked how it had the little antennas. I like how it has the little legs. So I pulled this pattern out and I said, let me try this again. So I got out the Parfait Chunky and I did yellow and black. And I also pulled out acrylic yarn and I made his wings a little different. So I get this guy done I'm going to redo his little mouth because it like needs to be just a little bit wider. But I did his legs and the little antenna out of acrylic yarn. Now I know you're saying to yourself, that bee is so small compared to the other one. And you would be right. And that is because I didn't realize I skipped an entire section. Like there should have been another stripe of black and then his bottom in yellow. Didn't even realize I skipped it. But when I got finished with him, and I even did my own thing on the wings, it's not a circle. I did it like you would start a granny square. Made the circle, and then I chained 3, and I did 4 triple crochets, and then chained 3 and attached, and then another chain 3, 4 triples, and a chain 3 to finish, and then wrapped my string around the center of it to give it a little definition of separation, and sewed it on. So I thought those were cute little wings for this. But I thought, this is so cute like this, other than his mouth. Don't pay attention to his mouth. And these I could do because it's different from what everybody else is doing and it's cute. So I said, okay, because you know me, if I do it in Parfait, I got to try it in Bernat and see what the size difference is going to be. Which, now I already had this one, but this was, I think the gray is Parfait and this gold color is Hobby Lobby and the white might be Hobby Lobby. Because it was, I mean, like when I very first started doing it and I couldn't find anything local that I was familiar with that is like, even Hobby Lobby's not local, but it's more local than trying to find a Joann's or something, or even a Michael's. So I pulled out the Bernat. Now I'm not completely finished. I still have a string to tie off. I still did the acrylic for the legs and the antenna. But this was when I realized I left off that whole stripe. So I like it better than the traditional common bee that we see all the time. But it's not as cute as when it is little like this. And it's a huge size difference. And I used the Baby Sparkle. So this bee's a little sparkly. And then just regular black. And then the white did the wings the same way. So they look proportionate for him. And the acrylic, instead of doing a slip stitch like the pattern says to do, I added a couple of stitches and I did single crochets. And same thing on the little legs. I added a couple of stitches and did single crochet so that it would have some substance to it versus the just doing a slip stitch. So, but I think I could definitely live with this style of bee. I wouldn't mind making a few more. I really like how this one turned out, except his mouth. He's so cute because he's so small. So maybe this one could be, because I forgot the whole section of stripe, just like totally skipped over it, didn't even realize I was doing it. This one could be like a bag charm or something. But he's cute. I mean, because he's so small, you really, I don't think you could like ask what it's worth for your time. Oh, and one other thing with this one, usually when I do the Parfait Chunky, I use a 5mm hook. This one I did what the pattern said and used a 4.5mm. So I think my stitch definition looks a little better, but everything would come out so tiny if I did that all the time. And on this one is the 6.5mm, and I'm still trying to decide, do I like the eyebrow thing? That's what the string is for. because I don't know if I want to keep that or not. It's just working in that spiral that I can't get it even. So that was 3 little plushies. And then the one pattern that I was saying that you think you've found or come across something different, and then you see it on someone else's YouTube, and it's like, how does that happen? How do we all have the same people that we buy patterns from? But Crafty Sue 519, she showed her mouse before I could show my mouse, because I hadn't made it. I've had the pattern for a while, and I pulled it out and I made it, and I watched her video on Wednesday, and I'm like, go figure. We both have the same darn pattern. But these little things are cute. Now, I did not completely follow the pattern the way it said. I did the ear. Everything's the same except for I didn't want to have to go and sew anything back on more than the ears. So I did bobble stitches for the feet and the little hands. And I just kind of like winged it to try and get them even. And then, of course, I had to glue the eyes in because it didn't tell me to put the eyes in. And I was not smart enough to read ahead to know where the eyes and everything was going to go. I just started crocheting because I haven't done much of it this week. He's kind of cute. Like I was saying, I had to glue the eyes in because I didn't do what I was supposed to do and read ahead. Now, if I look at a magazine, I always start from the back and work my way forward. But for some reason on the patterns, I don't do that. But yeah, so I have the cute little mouse. He's new. I guess you could say he's new because I didn't follow through. I didn't complete the pattern. The cow is, I've had the pattern a while, but it's new. So I guess you could say I did a few new things this week. Hopefully come Wednesday. Now, I don't know how late the mail will get here, but hopefully come Wednesday, when I get the other racks in, either Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be able to attempt it again. And I'll be able to say that Negative Nelly has left the building and come up with something that won't necessarily be perfect, because it just won't, but it's going to be presentable. I'm told that this market that I have signed up for is really huge for this area, that it gets quite the turnout and a lot of traffic, which didn't calm my nerves any. So there's that. All right, so I am going to sign off and go play with something. Maybe I'll work on my temperature blanket.